Hi, everybody. It's Dee Slater with Create with Dee. Welcome to our Wednesdays where we create things together. And I'm very excited to show you about this card here and how we can really add a lot of textures and interest to our cards. So as always, as you come on, if you want to say hello, let me know where you're from. I'm here in Northeast Indiana, a little bit north of Fort Wayne, Indiana. I think most people know where that's at. Um, and um, and so, yeah, please come in and say hello. Also, if you would, I'd really appreciate if there's anything in this class or this video that you like, please give me a thumbs up, a heart, have a, and share it with a friend if you think that they might like it. Hi, Dawn. Dawn is from Woodbay Island, Washington. Oh my goodness. Hello, hello. I'll be on your side of the continent here in a couple of days. I'm traveling with my sister to Texas to visit family for a couple of days. So might be about the closest I'll get to you, Dawn. I'm sure Washington State is gorgeous, though. I've always admired the upper Northwest on that. All right, so before we get started on today's project here, what I wanted to do was give you a couple of announcements. One, on December 14th, that's tomorrow, Stampin' Up is going to have a 1 day only free shipping on all orders $75 or more. So it's 1 day only. And what I'm going to plan on doing for the free shipping day is stocking up on essentials. It's going to be too late to try to get anything in for Christmas. Maybe if there's anything in the holiday catalog that's retiring soon that you might want, it would be a great time to get that too. Just know that you're getting it to your collection if it's a holiday stamp set, and it won't arrive in time for for Christmas on it. But what I thought I would do is share with you, I can only share with you the covers of the upcoming mini and celebration, and I'll give you a few of the paper samples that I have in too. But what I thought I would do is give you a heads up on maybe what cardstock you could look to stock up on now, so that when January comes and you start placing your orders or getting your wish list around for the mini catalog, you'll already have the stock items. So I'm going to spend just a few seconds on that. Thank you for the safe travels wishes, Dawn. Thanks. All right, so like I said, I'm only allowed to show you the cover of the catalogs right now until they go live. But the covers can give us a little clue on what the feel and the color palette in the catalog is. So for the mini catalogs, you can see that we've got Calypso Coral, Lemon Lolly, we've got Bubble Bath, and so that's some hints right there. And then also here's Celebration. Celebration has Lost Lagoon. We can see the wheat, the wild wheat, Petal Pink, Pool Party. So those are some clues. And so what I can do is I can show you the inside of the annual catalog. So what I thought I would do is just kind of give you this little hint here. It's probably the easiest than me pulling out individual pieces of paper. Hi, Marge. I would look through your the subtles collection, and you can always go online. If you don't have an annual catalog, you can go online and on the online store, just search subtle and you'll see the subtle collections come up. But the mini catalog and the celebration kind of lives in this subtles collection this year. So Petal Pink is hot in there, Calypso Coral, Lost Lagoon, Pool Party, Balmy Blue. There's also some boho blue in there for the end colors. But that palette right here, and you can always get the assorted pack of cardstock too. So Petal Pink, I looked through, there's several of the designer series papers that have that, Lemon Lolly, Pool Party, and let me show you some of the papers that is coming up too. Then we'll get started on our project. So probably this is a celebration paper, and so starting on January 4th, it'll be free with the $50 purchase. But like here's the you know, here's the all of the subtle collections that you can see in this paper. I just want to, like, I could wallpaper my bedroom if hubby would let me. And this paper. Oh my gosh. So that one's super. I just little sneak peeks on the paper there. This is one of the sheets from the Be Mine paper. This is more from the Brights collection. This would be the Daffodil Delight and the Poppy Parade. But some of the other ones are definitely subtle. So again, maximizing the subtles on that and the Brights. And then there's the Perennial Lavender paper. Again, this is pulling from the subtles, but also from the Brights collection. And, you know, you could definitely do the neutrals as well. So I just thought I'd give you just a, oh, and then here's the, oops, Lighter Than Air paper. Again, super like subtles collection on that. So a little sneak peek of some of the upcoming papers. I got the rest of mine coming in towards the end of the week here. But like I said, if you did want to take advantage of the free shipping, I think now is a great time to get stocked up on all of the essentials. So you could take advantage of cardstock, your card bases, adhesives, that kind of stuff, if you want to do that. And I would love it if you would choose me as your demonstrator. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll get started talking about today's project. I'm just going to make one card, but then I'll show you some other ones. We made this week at our local card class. And what I'm kind of calling this is texture on texture, over the top layers on it. And it's going to feature how to use the gold or the gilded leafing that you see here. I've got some tips on how to do that. It was one of these things that I've had this gilded leafing for a long time, probably over a year. The jar has sat there. This is what the jar looks like when you get it. And I just haven't tackled it yet. And now that I have, I'm like looking for opportunities to use it over and over again. All right, so I'll turn the camera around and we'll get started making this card. Thanks, Dawn and Susan. I'm so glad that you like the card. All right, so what I wanted, I've kind of got the camera, I think, raised enough to get all of this done. But what I want to kind of point out is that we can have fun. Like this is just our, these are punches. So yes, I use the embossing for this, but it's a way of really layering up your card. And it's probably things that we already have in our stamping stash. And so it's just kind of adding a few more things to it to really give it that, I'm going to call it like a hard and soft look. The braided linen kind of tones down the femininity just a little bit while adding a lot of interest in this card. So let's go ahead and we'll get started making this. So we're going to build up our card base first. And I've got two pieces of thick basic white. This is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm going to start by using Petal Park stamp set. And then, whoops, I just dropped everything. And then it's got the coordinating Petal Park paper punch with it too. So let's see here. I've got my color palette. Here's those subtle collections. This is Soft Seafoam and Petal Pink, and I'm using Crumb Cake. So first what I'm going to do is on the card base, I'm going to, over here on the lower right-hand side, I'm going to build up my leaf background. And so it comes with an image like this. And it's a pretty big image. You can either take the pad to the stamp or vice versa. And I want this larger opening. I want it to kind of fill in here off to the side a little bit. So here's the leaf. I'm kind of lining the leaves up along the corners and stamping. This is the outline. It doesn't matter which way you do. Sometimes I do the filler one on this first, and sometimes I do the outline. It just kind of depends on what mood I'm in at the time. And then normally you would, clean that off and swap it off for the block size. This is like an overkill on the block size for this, but I can have it already loaded now. And now we can sit here and we can line up our leaves. You can kind of see how that just line up. And if you're off a little bit, it's no big deal. But we'll go ahead and press that down and have that. And now just for the guide, bring in the card. I can go ahead and I'm going to fill in the flowers in the background. That's going to help me guide where I'm going to put the other flowers. And then as well, it kind of can add a little interest behind it too. So I'm going to take, on my sample card, I actually did both the solid and the outline, but really you could just do the solid, and that's what I'm doing here. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that's that one. And this is my petal pink. Just as a reminder, and I think sometimes it is nice to have a reminder, if when you're picking or doing your stamping and adding the ink to your images, if you ever have, if you find that you've got ink here, just know that you're pressing too hard. You just don't need, like, it's more about getting a good contact than it is pressing as hard as you can. Do I do that? Absolutely. It happens sometimes. But whenever I see that, I'm like, oops, I pressed a little too hard. I'm getting something that's got a little foam pad. With this stamp set the flowers, it'll line right up in between those open spaces. And then that's going to give me a guide. All right, so while I have let's go ahead and we'll do this. All right, so this is one layer. The second thing we're going to do is, now that we've got our stamping, I'm going to run this background through an embossing folder. This is one that I realized is retired, and so I'm going to use the Cane 3D folder just in case you'd want to replicate it. But so I'm stamping first. Now I'm going to go over here to my die cutting machine and embossing machine. I'll emboss this. So give me just a quick second. And I'm putting it in the folder. Oops. Get the right layers on my machine. All right, so I ran it through the embossing folder. Any embossing folder that you have on hand will work. I really want, I hope that you stampers might try this. Try it with anything that you have in your stash. All right, so now that we've got this, look how awesome that is. So you could just stop right there and just put a simple sentiment on it, but we are going to layer, layer, layer up. All right, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to apply this gold gilded leafing on. And the gold leafing, it comes in a jar like this, and we'll see it in my container here later on. The easiest way that I think to apply this is get out your tear and tape. And I'm going to go ahead and you can, like, as you can see, I'm kind of stretching it out so that it's got the straightest line that I can before I put it down. And I'm going in maybe about 3/4 of an inch, but you just gauge it for wherever your stamping is. And normally with the tear and tape, you've seen me actually tear it off. And what I'm doing this time is I'm going to go ahead and trim it off because I want a straight edge. All right, so we'll do that. We went through lots of tear and tape at class this week. I'll show you, like I said, I'll show you the rest of the cards. We won't make them here together, but I'll give you other ideas as we go on. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to peel off this adhesive, and then I'll talk a little bit about the gilded leafing. Let's get my take your pick tool, get that started. I had to cancel my nail appointment. It was a week and a half ago, and I have another one scheduled, and I didn't. I'm basically the short story is I'm overdue. All right, I'm going to try to lift this up a little bit, so bear with me just a second, everybody. Okay, so for the gold, the gilded leafing in the gold, what you want to do is have a container ready, and I'll make sure I've got the lid on. So I just have this this big plastic tub. You just want something that's deep so that it will hold it, because when you open this jar, you'll want to be ready to instantly put it in something. And when you do this, it's almost like having a vacuum packed item. Like if you've ever seen like a comforter or a pillow that's been vacuumed and all the air goes out, but then as soon as you open up the vacuum, it just expands. That's what happens to this as soon as you open it up. And I'm going to just kind of add a little air in here. You can see it moving over here. It's super airy and light. And so you want to keep it all into the container. All right, so now that I set that on my tear and tape, so I'm going to live in this container when I have my gilded leafing. I've got it exposed as far as the tape. Now what we do is just stick it in the container and kind of tap. And then you can see that we have this beautiful gold leafing all over it. Next, what I like to do is take a paintbrush and try to maintain those larger flakes as much as you can. And this paintbrush is what we used. It's what I had on hand. And I know that if you have something a little more, more of a stiff brush. And so I kind of did a little looking around, and I had this little brush on hand. So just wanted to show you can use just a paintbrush if you have it. But a little more, a stiffer brush really kind of makes a difference. And we just want to get all of that extra flakes. And as you can see, I'm keeping this inside of my container. If you have any little bit of an error, or if you open up the container really super fast, you'll have beautiful gold leafing all over. And then what I like to do is once I get the majority of the leaf off of it, I'm going to take a sponge dauber and I'm going to hold it like in between my, like hang on to it. And now I'm going to clean up all of the loose edges. And I kind of like to go in a little circular motion. And we'll just get that off. So this method is if you, maybe you don't have a heat tool, but you love the look of having gold layers on it. This would be a great option for you, without having to get out your heat tool embossing powders. Isn't that gorgeous? And you touch it and it's just ready to go. It's just put right in here. The way I describe this, like it's so loose and airy. I don't really cook anymore, but I like watching the cooking and baking shows, and you always see people put the edible gold leaf on it. That's kind of what this is. It's like leafing, but it's not to eat. Please don't put it on any food. This is not an edible one. This is a craft one. All right, so that was how to get this gold gilded leafing on. And very carefully then, without causing any whirlwind within your container, get your lid back on it. All right, I'm going to look at the comments. Let me know, have you guys ever done any of the, the gilded leafing before? But look at that. I just want to show you, look at that golden wonder on that. I love it. All right, so we're going to continue to build up our textures. And so I'm going to take my tear and tape again, and I'm going to go right alongside our, if I call it gold leafing, it's the gilded leafing. It's all means the same. And the same thing, I'm going to kind of extend it out a little bit, grab my snips, and I'll lower the camera back down so it's a little closer. I'm done with kneading it up in the air, so we'll get it down a little bit more. So it's coming down. There we go. All right. Same thing. We'll get take your pick tool and we'll take off the backing to our tear and tape. Tear and tape is so good. And we'll get that. So again, like that could be something that maybe you want to stack up on is the tear and tape, like I said, with the adhesive on tomorrow's free shipping. This is the braided linen thread from Stampin' Up. And my one side fell off of the ribbon spool. You would have 2 ribbon spools on that. We've used this a couple of times locally at classes, and you might have seen it earlier on. But I'm going to go ahead and, as you can see, I'm straightening it out, pressing it down. And then you will have another piece here of, or you have some exposed tear and tape here. You can either do another layer of your braided, or you could just take your embossing buddy and get that tackiness off of it. I'm going to go ahead and use embossing buddy on that. So, oops, again, we'll just, the linen thread, the braided, as you can see, like when you cut it, it will tend to split apart on where the braids are. That's why I like to go ahead and go a little bit over it and make sure it's down first beforehand. And we'll go ahead and trim off the edges. And then that braided trim will just stay right on the adhesive and it won't fray for us. Look how that's already so interesting. It doesn't have to be the braided trim. Add another ribbon of whatever. Again, we're just layering our textures on this. Let's see. Donna said, since it came out but never used it. Oh, wonderful. Oh, I hope you do. Donna, please leave me a message if you do, or share your project with me and I can post it on Facebook. We'll see what kind of beautiful creations you came up with it. All right, so this is the soft seafoam cardstock for the base, 8.5 by 11. Folded it in half. I'll get a nice crisp edge with my bone folder. Now, if you want to, you can use tear and tape again on the back. I find that liquid glue works fine as well, but you know, it's up to you. I know several of my local stampers, they love the tear and tape on the back. Let's get this started. There we go. So whatever, you know, adhesive that you want. Tear and tape is good with when you have the embossed layer like we have here. And I'll put that down. All right, so we're continuing to build up our card. Whoops, I got that. I think that moved a little bit. Okay. Well, see, tear and tape might have been the best thing on that one. Let me just go ahead and, I just didn't put enough of my liquid glue on it. It's pulling up. There we go. All right. So let's continue, and we're going to go back to our Petal Park Stamp and Die. Petal Park has been around for close to a year now, so I think it was for those of you that follow Stampin' Up and us demonstrators, you might already have this. And so again, I was kind of excited to hopefully just inspire you to use what you have, but maybe try some new layers with it. And I'm going to get out our crumb cake again. And we can start with the outline. Anytime that we have these punches that would punch out our image, another tip would be to go ahead and punch out and see where the stamps need to line up where you punch it out. And then you can load your image accordingly on that. So I know that the large flower is in the lower right corner. So when I go to stamp, I want to reflect that. That way I don't have to turn around and try to play with it once I have it, or, you know, once I have it stamped. So there's our outline again with the crumb cake, and we're going to come in with our petal pink, and we're going to stamp over that. Oops. So again, I know I want the large flower in this particular one to go in the lower right corner. Line it up, ink it up, and get my get these things closed. And now when I get my punch and open that up, it will really help line up the punch with the stamp. And I'll just get it pretty close and punch. And so that way it was easy. I didn't have to fuss after the fact with turning things around or anything like that. I'm going to get my Stampin' Dimensionals out. And again, we're all about layering up on this card. So I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of each one of these flowers. And since I've already stamped here while I had the leaf out, and the leaf kind of tells me where the flowers will position nicely, I'm just going to follow the flowers. And if you want, you can kind of slightly offset it just to add, again, like a little background in it. So you could go right on top of it. I'm going to just slightly offset it on purpose. That's just a personal thing. You don't have to do it that way. Just kind of just a little bit. Just kind of will, bring a little hint of that background color out. Or you could just stack it. It's totally up to you. All right. And we're adding more interest. I didn't get my embossing buddy out, but you would want to do that and take that tackiness off. All right, we're going to add a little subtle glitter to this by our clear Wink Stella. I already had it primed. And go ahead and get that on. And let's pull up these leaves just a little bit of our petals. It's going to go into an envelope, so you can just kind of get it started on that, but still adding more interest to it. Going to add a little gold glimmer. Now, I guess I didn't realize I was using so many retired things. These little gold beads were from a retired set, so I'm going to use the Neutrals collection. Adhesive back gems, and there's some gold in here. Get this out. And you could put it on the flower, but I just want to add a little bit of the gold, kind of give another nod to our gold leafing that we have. And we'll just kind of scatter some other little gold around. Super cute. So grab whatever little gold elements that you might have and kind of just keep it in our little cluster here. Sticking with my punch theme, I'm going to use the dual oval punch for my sentiment. The saying, thinking of you, comes from Very Best Occasions. And I'm going to use the crumb cake. Now, one of the things that we used at class is, I think you can see this, we were using it a lot in the center for different things. And, oh, that's a good ink. That's a good thing right there. You can see that I'm going to need to re-ink the center of it because I've used all the ink up. And so if you go to stamp your sentiment and you know that it's a little light, the color, then you know that you need to get your re-inker out. Or if you don't feel like doing it right at that time, go ahead and pick up where it's stronger in the corner. And that's what I'm going to do because I know there's lots of ink in the corners that don't get utilized. Thinking of you. And then that's just on a scrap of basic white. So I'm bringing that down into the bottom, the smaller of the oval punch. And then I'll get some scrap of my seafoam. And oh my gosh, I was down to the nitty gritty. This is about my last my seafoam. I do have some coming in from a previous order earlier in the month, but I was really sweating it to make sure I had enough for the local gals. And oh my gosh, I've never been quite that low before on something. All right, I'm going to use liquid glue to put the layers together. And good morning, Doreen. How are ya? And then I'm going to use some dimensionals on the back. Oops. And we have that. Put that down on here. And then the last thing that you can do, and I don't think I have my little stamp here close. This is my boo-boo. But I just added from Petal Park. There's this other cute little floral image here. And we just added that here to the bottom of the card. But that is our like extremely textured, extremely layered card. The gold gilded leafing kind of just makes it even that much special. Isn't too hard to do. It's a little bit addictive once you get going on it. Let me bring in the other cards that you could make just to give you some more design ideas. I'm using the tear and tape with that. And this is kind of all staying in the same palette. So here's one that, I just kind of moved where I did that. There again is all layered and textured on that, but here I have it on the bottom. On this one, this is just showing that you don't have to stop at one, stop at two. And again, just giving some other layering ideas on it. But again, that gold just really pops it and makes it a little special. What I was hoping to do today too, let me turn the camera around. You can also, besides the tear and tape, you can go ahead and use embossing powder or Versamark heat and stick powder, your heat tool, and to make something for the gold leafing to stick on. I'm going to see if I can show this here. So I didn't know that heat and stick went bad. I was going to show you that here today. Yesterday I was making my sample and my heat and stick does not stick anymore. But I bet this is at least 6 or 7 years old. But you can use Versamark on an image, apply your heat and stick powder, use your heat tool to warm it up, and then instead of embossing powder, you would just stick it in your gold leafing container, brush it off, and then there's no heating to it on it. All right. I hope that you guys have a great rest of your week. And next week, I am traveling to see family here for a couple of days. So Wednesday, I won't be on Wednesday, but I will probably bump that out to sometime Thursday. I'm not quite sure of what my schedule is. So I still will see you next week. I know it won't be on Wednesday though, because I'm kind of still coming back from a travel day on that. So I'll get with you on a project next week. And I do have lots of fun stamping opportunities with me with classes. So if you like my style or you want to give a class of mine a try, please do follow me on my newsletter. The link's here down below. I've got, I've got a big, I just have lots of things for us in January, and I can't wait for you to stamp with me. There is still a couple more days yet to sign up for my casino stampin' party that will be happening on New Year's Day. You can get a kit ahead of time and then make the projects with me on my Facebook event page. It is free to watch. So if you go to Create with Dee on Facebook and then go under my events and click interested or going, you get reminders from Facebook. And you can see the projects on New Year's Day with me starting at 1 o'clock Eastern time. Again, if you haven't already, I would invite you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on Facebook, and if you'd like, sign up for my newsletter. All right, everybody, you have a great rest of your week. Happy crafting. Bye-bye.